and good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. I'm so glad to be here with you this morning. And we're going to dive into some really amazing things today. And let's start off with prayer. Lord, thank you so much for today. Thank you so much for the ability to share your word with those who come across the screen. Lord, thank you for the lessons, teachings, the ups and downs, trials and tribulations that we experience. Lord, may your word just come alive on these pages today and forevermore. Lord, thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for your grace. And we can't wait to see what you have in store for us this week. In Jesus' name, amen. Alrighty, you guys. I'm super excited today. We are going to be diving into the book of Job here in week 6 of the weekly word. And I know that last week we ended in Genesis on chapter 46 and talking about what was going on, right? Joseph had just revealed himself to his family, and he is kind of at the top of the top when it comes to leadership in Egypt. And Isaac is, his youngest son was taken and kept there, and he has no clue that, Joseph is still alive. So I do want to do a little bit of just a recap to get us towards the end before we start Job. And I'll be honest with you, Job is a huge chapter. There's a lot that goes on inside of Job. So your homework will be to read the rest of what we don't cover. That'll be something that you can do throughout the week this week. But it's going to be very, very important because of the lessons that are inside of Job. So we're starting with chapter 46 in Genesis. All the sons go and get Jacob, and go and set out so they can get his father Isaac out there and all their family. And it talks about the bloodline, and it talks about the descendants of Israel, the sons of Jacob, who went to Egypt, and all of the people. At the end, it talks about the total number of Jacob's direct descendants who went to him, not counting sons and wives. There were 66. And then, of course, adding Joseph's 2 sons that were born in Egypt, there was a total of 70 members in the land of Egypt. They arrive, and of course, Joseph is just elated, and the Pharaoh calls and asks for him. Jacob blesses the Pharaoh, and we're still in the famine. There's still a famine that is going on inside of here, and people are starving. They're trying to provide. Joseph is doing the very best that he can as far as making sure everything is good. And in between this, Jacob is blessing certain people in here, and he also leaves last words to all of his sons before he passes. And I find it really interesting in chapter 49, the things that he says about each of them, and who they are, what they're about, and so much more. Even just Reuben, who is my firstborn, my strength, the child of vigorous youth. You are first in rank and first in power, but you are as unruly as a flood, and you will be first no longer. For you went to bed with my wife, and you defiled my marriage couch. Simon and Levi are 2 of a kind. Their weapons are instruments of violence. May I never join in their meetings. May I never be a party to their plans. And it says, for their anger, they murdered men, and they crippled oxen just for sport. A curse on their anger, for it is fierce. I will scatter them among the descendants of Jacob. Judah, your brothers will praise you. You will grasp your enemies by the neck. Judah, my son, is the young lion that has finished eating its prey. Like a lion crouches and lies down, like a lioness who dares to rouse him. The scepter will not depart from Judah. And Zebulun will settle by the seashore, and he'll have harbor of ships, for his borders will extend to Sidon, or Sidon, I should say. Issachar is as sturdy as a donkey, resting between two saddle packs. When he sees how good the countryside is and how pleasant the land, he will bend his shoulder to the load and submit himself to hard labor. Dan will govern his people. Like any other tribe in Israel, he will be a snake beside the road, a poisonous viper along the path that bites the horse's hooves, so its rider is thrown off. I trust in your salvation, O Lord. Gad will be attacked by marauding bands, but he will attack them when they retreat. Asher will dine on rich foods and produce foods fit for kings. Naphtali is a doe set free that bears beautiful fawns. And Joseph is the foal of the wild donkey, the foal of the wild donkey at a spring, one of the wild donkeys on the ridge. Archers attack him, they shot him and harassed him, but his bow remained taut. His arms were strengthened by the hands of the mighty one of Jacob, by the shepherd, the rock of Israel. May the God of your father help you, and may Almighty bless you with blessings of heavens above, and blessings of the watery depths below, and blessings of the breasts and womb. And then he really just blesses Joseph. And Benjamin, which is the youngest, is a ravenous wolf, devouring his enemies in the morning and dividing his plunder in the evening. And this is the start of the 12 tribes of Israel, and that their father said he told his sons goodbye. He blessed each one of them with appropriate messages. And of course, he was buried just where everyone else was: Abraham and Sarah, Isaac and Rebekah, and then himself and Leah. Now, Joseph was really sad, and obviously he was very, very upset that obviously he had passed. But this is really the first time we're learning about embalming when someone passes. And it says that the process took the usual 40 days. So this is kind of showing you, even in the beginning, the process of trying to preserve the body. So not so much the soul, right? Because we know, but the body itself. And at this time, as we end and we start to go into Job, one of the things that's really, really important to note is that Joseph's brothers then were scared. They were scared that something was going to happen to them because their father was gone, and that Joseph was going to show his anger and pay back for all the wrongdoing that he had done. And they said to him, before your father died, he instructed us to say to you, please forgive your brothers for the great wrong they did, for their sin in treating you was so cruelly. So we, the servants of God of your father, beg you to forgive our sin. When Joseph received the message, he broke down and wept, and he said to his brothers, look, you are your slaves. And he said, don't be afraid of me. Am I God that I can punish you? You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good. He brought me to this position so I could save the lives of many people. No, don't be afraid. I will continue to take care of you and your children. I think that's a really important part in Genesis to end. And obviously we end with the death of Joseph. But I think it's important to finish out Genesis that way, because that just goes to show all the things that were going on and everything that was happening in Genesis from the beginning of time, and the creation of all the tribes and the creation of all the people, and, God really wiping out and restarting. And Joseph never intended to do harm to his brothers, even though they did to him. So I think it's a beautiful, beautiful way to end Genesis. I've really enjoyed learning more about what truly happened in the very beginning. And it ends with God intended it for good. He intended it for good. And Joseph isn't the one to do anything to his brothers, or, turn them to slaves, or, pay them back for the things that they did. So, as we begin in Job, a couple things that I would like to note with Job is that it's all about trusting God without answers. I know I put this at the title at the very top, but it truly is about that. It's truly about the challenges that Job experienced. Job was faithful, he was obedient, he was blessed, he was righteous, and yet he lost everything: children, wealth, health, security, land. I mean, even himself almost to a point. And the thing is, Job didn't know why. And I believe that there's a lot of us that go through that daily. We don't understand why something is happening because we want to have the answers to why it's happening. And the thing is that you have these conversations with God and you're not getting the answers that you're looking for. And to me, that just means that, your faith has to be tested without explanation. It truly does. And it's not that you're denying things, and it's about surrendering, because you're not going to have the answers to everything. So Job 1. There was once a man named Job who lived in the land of Uz. He was blameless, a man of complete integrity. He feared God and stayed away from evil. He had 7 sons and 3 daughters. He owned 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 teams of oxen, 500 female donkeys. He also had many servants. He was, in fact, the richest person in that entire area. Job's sons would take turns preparing feasts in their homes, and they would also invite their 3 sisters to celebrate with them. When these celebrations ended, sometimes after several days, Job would purify his children. He would get up early in the morning and offer a burnt offering for each of them. For Job said to himself, "Perhaps my children have sinned and have cursed God in their hearts." This was Job's regular practice. Job's first test. One day the members of the heavenly court came to present themselves before the Lord, and the accuser, Satan, came with them. "Where have you come from?" the Lord asked. Satan answered the Lord, "I have been patrolling the earth, watching everything that's going on." Then the Lord asked Satan, "Have you noticed my servant Job? He is the finest man in the earth. He is blameless, a man of complete integrity. He fears God and stays away from evil." Satan replied, "Yes, but Job has good reason to fear God. You have always put a wall of protection around him and his home and his property. You have made him proper in everything he does. Look how rich he is. But reach out and take away everything he has, and he will surely curse you to your face." "All right, you may test him," the Lord said to Satan. "Do whatever you want with everything he possesses, but don't harm him physically." So Satan left the Lord's presence. One day when Job's sons and daughters were feasting at the oldest brother's house, a messenger arrived at Job's home with the news, "Your oxen were plowing with the donkeys feeding beside them. When when the Sabines raided us, they stole all the animals and killed all the farm hands. I am the only one who escaped to tell you." While he was still speaking, another messenger arrived with the news, "The fire of God has fallen from heaven and burned up your sheep and all the shepherds. I am the only one who escaped to tell you." While he was speaking, a third messenger arrived with the news, "3 bands of Chaldean raiders have stolen your camels and killed your servants. I am the only one who escaped to tell you." While he was still speaking, another messenger arrived with the news, "Your sons and daughters were feasting in their oldest brother's home. Suddenly, a powerful wind swept in from the wilderness and hit the house on all sides. The house collapsed and all your children are dead. I am the only one who escaped to tell you." Job stood up and tore his robe in grief. Then he shaved his head and fell to the ground to worship, and he said, "I come naked from my mother's womb, and I will be naked when I leave. The Lord gave me what I had, and the Lord has taken it away. Praise the name of the Lord." In all of this, Job did not sin by blaming God. One day, the members of the heavenly court came again to present themselves to the Lord, and the accuser Satan came with them. "Where have you come from?" the Lord asked Satan. Satan answered the Lord, "I have been patrolling the earth, watching everything that's going on." And the Lord asked Satan, "Have you noticed my servant Job? He is the finest man in all the earth. He is in complete integrity. He fears God and stays away from evil, and he has maintained his integrity even though you urged me to harm him without cause. Satan replied to the Lord, Skin for skin. A man will give up everything he has to save his life, but reach out and take away his health, and he will surely curse you to your face. All right, do with him as you please, the Lord said, but spare his life. So Satan left the Lord's presence, and he struck Job with terrible boils from head to foot. Job scraped his skin with a piece of broken pottery as he sat among the ashes. His wife said to him, Are you still trying to maintain your integrity? Curse God and die. But Job replied, You talk like a foolish woman. Should we accept only good things from the land of God and never anything bad? So in all of this, Job said nothing wrong. Job's 3 friends share his anguish. When the 3 of Job's friends heard of the tragedy he had suffered, they got together and traveled from their homes to comfort and console him. Their names were Eliphaz, I'm going to butcher these names just so that you're completely aware. Eliphaz the Temanite, Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Naamathite. When they saw Job from a distance, they scarcely recognized him. Wailing loudly, they tore their robes and threw dust into the air over their heads to show their grief. Then they sat on the ground with him for 7 days and nights. No one said a word to Job, for they saw that his suffering was too great for words. One thing I find super interesting is that Satan has to come before the Lord and ask permission. And I think a lot of times we tend to forget that. We tend to forget that Satan can't just do whatever he wants. And the Lord has to give permission for these things. And even in these times. And God had such faith, and I believe that he knew what Job's response was going to be. He knew the trial he was going to endure. And I think it's a perfect setup for why Jesus came, because God truly wanted to feel what we feel with pain, anguish, loss, grief, all of it. And I find it interesting that Job's 3 friends come to him, right? It sounds great at first because they come to him, they're there, they know that they can't really say anything to him because of the things that he's lost and experienced. So they sit with him, and it sounds good and all in the beginning, right? I mean, how many of us have friends that they're there at the drop of a hat and they don't necessarily have to say anything to you, but just be there, depending on whatever it is that you're going through, good or bad. But we slowly see what happens. Job's first speech. At last, Job spoke, and he cursed the day of his birth. He said, Let the day of my birth be erased, and let the night I was conceived. Let the day be turned into darkness. Let it be lost even to God on high, and let no light shine on it. Let the darkness and utter gloom claim that day for its own. Let a black cloud overshadow it, and let the darkness terrify it. Let that night be blotted off the calendar, never again to be counted among the days of the year, never again to appear among the months. Let that night be childless. Let it have no joy. Let those who are experts at cursing, whose cursing could rouse Leviathan, curse that day. Let its morning suns remain dark. Let it hope for night, but in vain. May it never see the morning light. Curse that day for failing to shut my mother's womb, for letting me be born to see all this trouble. Why wasn't I born dead? Why didn't I die as I came before the womb? Why was I laid on my mother's lap? Why did she nurse me at her breasts? Had I died at birth, I would now be at peace. I would be asleep at rest. I would rest with the world's kings and prime ministers, whose great buildings now lie in ruins. I would rest with princes rich in gold, whose palaces are filled with silver. Why wasn't I buried like a stillborn child, like a baby who never lives to see the light? For in death the wicked cause no trouble, and the weary are at rest. Even captives are at ease in death, with no guards to curse them. Rich and poor are both there, and the slave is free from its master. Oh, why give light to those in misery and life to those who are bitter? They long for death, and it won't come. They search for death more eagerly than for hidden treasure. They're filled with joy when they finally die, and rejoice when they find the grave. Why is life given to those with no future, those God has surrounded with difficulties? I cannot eat for sighting. My groans pour out like water. What I always feared has happened to me. What I dreaded has come true. I have no peace, no quietness. I have no rest. Only trouble comes. You can imagine how he's feeling in that moment to say, well, I'd rather just take everything and just not even be here. And just, I want you to notice the questions, the why. Like, why did this happen? I mean, he says it so many times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, he says it so many times in this first speech. It's why is this? Why didn't this happen? Why didn't this happen? And why, and then, of course, his fears. What I've always feared has happened to me, which I know each and every one of us has fears of our own. So the first friend, Eliphaz's response. He replied to Job, "Will you be patient and let me say a word? For who could keep from speaking out? In the past, you have encouraged many people. You have strengthened those who were weak. Your words have supported those who were falling. You encouraged those who were at shaky knees. But now when trouble strikes, you lose heart. You are terrified when it touches you. Doesn't your reverence for God give you confidence? Doesn't your life of integrity give you hope? Stop and think. Do the innocent die? When they have the upright been destroyed? My experience shows that those who plant trouble and cultivate evil will harvest the same. A breath from God destroys them. They vanish in the blast of anger. The lion roars and the wild cat snarls, but the teeth of strong lions will be broken. The fierce lion will starve for lack of prey, and the cubs of the lioness will be scattered. This truth was given to me in secret, as though whispered in my ear. It came to me in a disturbing vision at night, when people are in a deep sleep. Fear gripped me and my bones trembled. A spirit swept past my face and my hair stood on end. The spirit stopped, but I couldn't see its shape. There was a form before my eyes, and in the silence I heard a voice say, "Can a mortal be innocent before God? Can anyone be pure before the Creator? If God does not trust his own angels and has charged his messengers with foolishness, how much less will be trusted people made of clay? They are made of dust, crushed as easily as a moth. They are alive in the morning but dead by evening, gone forever without a trace. These tent cords are pulled, and the tent collapses, and they die in ignorance. Cry for help, but will anyone answer you? Which of the angels will help you? Surely resentment destroys the fool, and jealousy kills the simple. I have seen that fools may be successful for the moment, but then comes sudden disaster. The children are abandoned far from help. They are crushed in the court with no one to defend them. The hunger devour their harvest, even when it is guarded by the brambles. The thirsty pant after their wealth, but evil does not spring from the soil, and trouble does not spout from the earth. People are born for trouble as readily as sparks fly from a fire. If I were you, I would go to God and present my case to him. He does great things too marvelous to understand. He performs countless miracles. He gives rain for the earth and water for the fields. He gives prosperity to the poor and protects those who suffer. He frustrates the plans of schemers till the work of their hands will not succeed. He traps the wise in their own cleverness, so their cunning schemes are thwarted. They find it in the dark of the daytime, and they grope at noon as if it were night. He rescues the poor from the cutting words of the strong, and he rescues them from the clutches of the powerful. And so at last the poor have hope, and the snapping jaws of the wicked are shut. But consider the joy of those corrected by God. Do not despise the discipline of the Almighty when you sin. For though he wounds, he also bandages. He strikes, and his hands also heal. From 6 disasters he will rescue you. Even in the 7th he will keep you from evil. He will save you from death in the time of famine, and the power of the sword in the time of war. You will be safer from slander, and you will have no fear when destruction comes. You will laugh at the destruction and famine. Wild animals will not terrify you. You will be at peace when the stones of the field and its wild animals will be at peace with you. You will know that your home is safe. When you survey possessions, nothing will be missing. You will have many children, and your descendants will be plentiful as grass. You will go to the grave at a ripe old age, like a sheaf of grain harvested at the proper time. You have studied life and found all this to be true. Listen to my counsel and apply it to yourself. It's a pretty big deal to have somebody come to you and remind you of the goodness that God is and does and reveals. And I think there's some important verses in here of the things that God does. And this is chapter 5, verse 9, all the way to 26. Talking about all the goodness and all the good things that God is and will do. And his friend is like, listen, like, go to him and tell him. And again, asking him, like, okay, you do all these amazing things, so why is this? And the thing is Job knows these things, but he's in the middle of the grief. This was his response, Job's response. If my misery couldn't be weighed and my troubles could be put on the scales, they would outweigh all the sands of the sea. That is why I spoke impulsively, for the Almighty has struck me down with his arrows. Their poison infects my spirit. God's terrors are lined up against me. Don't I have a right to complain? Don't wild donkeys bray when they find no grass and oxen bellow when they have no food? Don't people complain about unsalted food? Does anyone want the tasteless white of an egg? My appetite disappears when I look at it. I gag at the thought of eating it. And oh, that I might have my request, that God would grant my desire. I wish he would crush me. I wish he would reach out his hand and kill me. At least I could take comfort in this. Despite the pain, I have not denied the words of the Holy One. But I don't have the strength to endure. I have nothing to live for. Do I have the strength of a stone? Is my body made of bronze? No, I am utterly helpless and without any chance of success. No one should be kind to a fainting friend. But you accuse me without any fear of the Almighty. My brothers, you have proved as unreliable as a seasonal brook that overflows its banks in the spring, and when it's swollen with ice and melting snow. But when the hot weather arrives, the water disappears, the brook vanishes in the heat, and the caravans turn aside to be refreshed, but there is nothing to drink, so they die. The caravans from Tema search for this water, and the travelers from Sheba hope to find it. They count on it, but are disappointed. When they arrive, their hopes are dashed. You too have given no help. You have seen my calamity and are afraid, but why? Have I ever asked you for a gift? Have I begged for anything of yours for myself? Have I asked you to rescue me from enemies or even save me from ruthless people? Teach me, and I will keep quiet. Show me, and I have done wrong. Honest words can be painful, but what do your criticisms amount to? Do you think your words are convincing when you disregard my cry of desperation? You would even send an orphan into slavery or sell a friend. Look at me. Would I lie to your face? Stop assuming my guilt, for I have done no wrong. Do you think I am lying? Don't I know the difference between right and wrong? Is not all human life a struggle? Our lives are like that hand of a hired hand, like a worker who longs for the shade. Like a servant waiting to be paid, I too have been assigned months of ferility, long and weary nights of misery. Lying in bed, I think, when will it be morning? But the night drags on, and I toss until dawn. My body is covered with maggots and scabs. My skin breaks open, oozing with pus. My days fly faster than a weaver's shuttle. They end without hope. Oh God, remember that time. Remember that my life is a breath and that I will never again feel happiness. You see me now, but not for long. You will look for me, but I will be gone. Just as a cloud dissipates and vanishes, those who die will not come back. They are gone forever from their home, never to be seen again. I cannot keep from speaking. I must express my anguish. My bitter soul must complain. Am I a sea monster or a dragon that you must place under guard? I think my bed will comfort me, and sleep will ease my misery. But then you shatter me with dreams and terrify me with visions. I would rather be strangled, rather die than suffer like this. I hate my life and I don't want to go on living. Leave me alone for a few remaining days. What are people that you should go make so much of us, that you should think of us so often? For you examine us every morning and test us every moment. Why won't you leave me alone, at least long enough for me to swallow? If I have sinned, what have I done to you, O watcher of the all humanity? Why must make me your target? Am I a burden to you? Why not just forgive my sin and take away my guilt? For soon I will lie down in the dust and die. You will look for me, and I will be gone. This is really the thick of it. And it may be hard to kind of understand a little bit, but with everything that he has experienced, there's a point where he's not denying the pain, right? He's surrendering the pain. And he's truly asking, like, I've done all these things, like, just tell me what I did, so that he could understand, right? That he's experiencing this horrible pain, not only feeling, but I mean, he talks about he thinks he could lay down in his bed and he could just close his eyes and just for a moment not experience anything, but in his dreams as well. Like, it's just this ongoing tormenting that, the Lord has allowed for, this lesson, because Satan thinks, oh, for sure, this guy's going to cave. Like, for sure, we're just going to do everything that we can. And there's moments where he's not sure that he's strong enough to do it. He's just like, I don't know if I could go on for a second. Like, I can't even swallow without something going on. And I think it's important to note that faith not only worships in blessings, it's conditional faith, but mature faith worships even in loss. So faith is a huge factor here. We have to trust that whatever it is that we're going through, whatever it is that we're experiencing, something that we feel like we cannot go on from, we can. We truly, truly can. And I know there's that saying that, oh, God, gives his test to the strongest soldiers, and, he's not going to give me anything that I can't handle. And over the years, I've learned that those statements aren't true. He's going to give you things that you cannot handle, because you need to lean and surrender to him so that he can take care of it, and so that he knows that you're relying on him, not your own strength. All right, Bildad's response to Job. So this is his other friend. How long will you go on like this? You sound like a blustering wind. Does God twist justice? Does the Almighty twist what is right? Your children must have sinned against him, so their punishment was well deserved. But if you pray to God and seek the favor of the Almighty, and if you are pure and live with integrity, he will surely rise up and restore your happy home. And though you started with little, you will end with much. Just ask the previous generation. Pay attention to the experience of our ancestors. If you were born but yesterday and know nothing, our days on earth are as fleeting as a shadow. But those who came before us will teach you. They will teach you the wisdom of old. Can papyrus reeds grow tall without a marsh? Can marsh grass flourish without water? While they are still flowering, not ready to be cut, they begin to wither more quickly than grass. The same happens to all who forget God. The hopes of the godless evaporate. Their confidence hangs by a thread. They are leaning on a spider's web. They cling to their home for security, but it won't last. They try to hold it tight, but it will not endure. The godless seem like a lush plant growing in the sunshine, its branches spreading across the garden. Its roots grow down through a pile of stones. It takes hold on a bed of rocks. But when it is uprooted, it is as though it never existed. That's the end of its life, and the others spring up from the earth to replace it. But look, God will not reject a person of integrity, nor will he lend a hand to the wicked. He will once again fill your mouth with laughter and your lips with shouts of joy. Those who hate you will be clothed with shame, and the home of the wicked will be destroyed. I have a lot to say about that. And I think it's super important, this response, because it's, you have these three friends, right? You have the first one that's basically telling him, like, okay, don't forget all the things that God is. Okay. Like, I understand, like, you're going through all this, buddy, but like, I think you need to go to God and ask him, and you need to plead your case to him. And then you have, his second friend that's like, okay, cool. Like, how much longer are you going to feel sorry for yourself? Like, how much longer? Like, you've had all these amazing things. So, like, if you were literally born, yesterday, like, you wouldn't know and have this wisdom of all of these things. So just know, like, God has your best interest in heart. He's not going to reject you. Like, you're a man of integrity. You're a man that's never sinned, that have done all the right things. So, like, you're forgetting. You're forgetting. Job's response. Yes, I know that is all true in principle, but how can a person be declared innocent in God's sight? If someone wanted to take God to court, would it be possible to answer him even once in 1,000 times? For God is so wise and so mighty. Who has ever challenged him successfully? Without warning, he moves the mountains, overturning them in his anger. He shakes the earth from its place, and its foundations tremble. If he commands it, the sun won't rise, and the stars won't shine. He alone has spread out the heavens and marches on the waves of the sea. He made all the stars, the Bear and the Orion, the Pleiades, and the constellations of the southern sky. But he does great things too, marvelous to understand. He performs countless miracles. Yet when it comes near, I cannot see him, and when he moves by, I do not see him go. If he snatches someone in death, who can stop him? Who dares to ask, what are you doing? And God does not restrain his anger. Even the monsters of the sea are crushed beneath his feet. So who am I that I should try to answer God or even reason with him? Even if I were right, I would have no defense. I could only plead for mercy. And even if I summoned him and responded, I'm not sure he would listen to me. If he attacks me with the storm and repeatedly wounds me without cause, he will not let me catch my breath, but fills me instead with bitter sorrows. If it's a question of strength, he's the strong one. If it's a matter of justice, who dares to summon him to court? Though I am innocent, my own mouth would pronounce me guilty. Though I am blameless, it would prove me wicked. I am innocent, but it makes no difference to me. I despise my life. Innocent or wicked, it is all the same to God. That's why I say, he destroys both the blameless and the wicked. When a plague sweeps through, he laughs at the death of the innocent. The whole earth is the hands of the wicked, and God binds the eyes of the judges. If he's not the one who does it, who is? My life passes more swiftly than a runner. It flees away with a glimpse of happiness. It disappears like a swift propitious boat, like an eagle swooping down on its prey. If I decided to forget my complaints, to put away my sad face and be cheerful, I would still dread all the pain. For I know you will not find me innocent, O God. Whatever happens, I will be found guilty. So what's the use of trying? Even if I were to wash up with soap and clean my hands with lye, you would plunge me into a muddy ditch, and my own filthy clothing would hate me. God is not a mortal like me, so I cannot argue with him or take him to trial. If only there was a mediator between us, someone who could bring us together. The mediator could make God stop beating me, and I would no longer live in the terror of his punishment. Then I could speak to him without fear, but I cannot do that in my own strength. This is his plea to God as he's speaking. I am disgusted with my life. Let me complain freely. My bitter soul must complain. I will say to God, don't simply condemn me. Tell me the charge you were bringing against me. What do you gain by oppressing me? Why do you reject me? The work of your own hands while smiling on the schemes of the wicked. Are your eyes like those of a human? Do you see things that only as people see them? Is your lifetime only as long as ours? Is your life so short that you must quickly probe for my guilt and search for my sin? Although you know I'm not guilty, no one can rescue me from your hands. You formed me with your hands. You made me, yet now you completely destroy me. Remember that you made me from dust, and you will turn me back to dust so soon. You guided my conception and formed me in the womb. You clothed me with skin and flesh, and you knit my bones and sinews together. You gave me life and showed me your unfailing love. My life was preserved by your care. Yet your real motive, your true intent, was to watch me, and if I sinned, you would not forgive my guilt. For I am guilty, too bad for me. And if I'm innocent, I can't hold my head high, because I am filled with shame and misery. And if I hold my head high, you hunt me like a lion and display your awesome power against me. Again and again you witness against me. You pour out unto growing anger on me, and you bring fresh armies against me. Why then did you deliver me from my mother's womb? Why didn't you let me die at birth? It would be as though I had never existed, going directly from the womb to the grave. I have only a few days left, so leave me alone that I may have a moment of comfort before I leave, never to return, for the land of darkness and utter gloom. It is the land as darkness as midnight, a land of gloom and confusion, where even the light is as dark as midnight. A couple things there. So the second friend, I'll be honest with you. I'm kind of like the second friend in a way, because it's sometimes you have to talk to people that way. It's almost like taking someone and pulling them out of their own crap, right? You're like, okay, listen, like, stop complaining. Remember these things that God has taught you. Remember these things. Remember who you are. Like, I know it's tough right now, but this isn't the end. But Job couldn't see the end. And honestly, I don't blame the guy. I really don't. Like, he's done all of these things and he was righteous, and he, held up everything on his end. And for him to plead to God, again, the why questions. And I know each and every single one of us do this. We ask why. Why me? Why this? Why now? Why didn't this happen instead? And then Job even goes as far as saying, like, why did you even let me be born? And to be honest with you, I mean, for me and my spirit, like, it's not going to be that easy, but like, I'm sorry. Nothing in this life is easy. It truly isn't. There are moments of blessings, there are moments of greatness, but it was never meant to be easy. And I think sometimes it's hard, especially for Job in this, because I don't want to say he's had it easy, but he did have a lot of amazing things. Now, throughout all of this, because I know that by reading it, you kind of get the assumption that God, Job is literally like, he's like, God, well, why are you doing this? And I'm giving up on this and all of these things. He's not cursing God. He's not turning his back on him. He isn't. He's asking him why questions, and he's pleading, and he's feeling, if anything, he's feeling sorry for himself. Okay. And he is asking him, like, okay, can you just leave me alone for a second so I could just have like a couple moments of peace? But that's not the plan. And I can totally understand when he says that it's like, I search for God and he's not there. Like, I pray and he's nowhere to be found. Like, I get that. And I know a lot of us do. To truly understand, like, you're not hearing from him. And you might be in a season right now where you're not hearing from him. You're not seeing him. You're seeking him, and it's like, you feel like nothing is working. So this is the third friend, Zophar. Shouldn't someone answer this torrent of words? Is a person proved innocent just by a lot of talking? Should I remain silent while you babble on? When you mock God, you shouldn't someone make you ashamed? You claim my beliefs are pure and I am clean in the sight of God. If only God would speak. If only he would tell you what he thinks. If only he would tell you your secrets of wisdom. For true wisdom is not a simple matter. Listen, God is doubtless punishing you far less than you deserve. Can you solve the mysteries of God? Can you destroy everything that the Almighty? Such knowledge is higher than the heavens. And who are you? Is it deeper than the underworld? What do you know? Is it broader than the earth and wider than the sea? If God comes and puts a person in prison or calls the court to order, who can stop him? For he knows who are false, and he takes note of their sins. An empty-headed person won't become wise any more than a wild donkey can bear a human child. If only you would prepare your heart and lift up your hands to him in prayer, get rid of your sins and leave all the iniquity behind you. Then your face will brighten with innocence. You will be strong and free of fear. You will forget your misery. It will be like water flowing away. Your life will be brighter than the noonday. Even darkness will be as bright as morning. Having hope will change your courage. You will be protected and will rest in safety. You will lie down unafraid, and many will look to you for help. But the wicked will be blinded. They will have no escape. Their only hope is death. It's a good one. Job's response. You people really know everything, don't you? And when you die, wisdom will die with you. Well, I know a few things myself, and you're no better than I am. Who doesn't know these things that you've been saying? Yet my friends laugh at me, for I call on God and expect an answer. I am just and a blameless man, yet they laugh at me. People who are at ease mock those in trouble. They give a push to people who are stumbling, but robbers are left in peace, and those who provoke God live in safety, though God keeps them in his power. Just like the animals, they will teach you. Ask the birds of the sky, and they will tell you. Speak to the earth, and it will instruct you. Let the fish in the sea speak to you, for they all know that my disaster has come from the hand of the Lord. For the life of every living thing in his hand, and the breath of every human being. The ear tests the words it hears, just as the mouth distinguishes between foods. Wisdom belongs to the aged, and the understanding to the old. But true wisdom and power are found in God. Counsel and understanding are his. But what he destroys cannot be rebuilt. When he puts someone in prison, there is no escape. If he holds back the rain, the earth becomes a desert. If he releases the waters, they flood the earth. Yes, strength and wisdom are his. Deceivers and deceived are both in his power. He leads counselors away, stripped of good judgment. Wise judges become fools. He removes the loyal robes of kings. They are led away with ropes around their waist. He leads priests away, stripped of status. He overthrows those with long years and power. He silences the trusted advisor and moves the insight of the elders. He pours disgrace upon princes and disarms the strong. He uncovers mysteries that are hidden in darkness. He brings to light the deepest gloom. He brings up nations and he destroys them. He expands the nations and he abandons them. He strips kings of understanding and leaves them wandering in a pathless wasteland. They grope in the darkness without a light, and he makes them stagger like drunkards. Now Job wants to argue his case. Now he's mad because he's heard from all of his friends, and now he's like, all right, bet. Like, that's it. Look, I have seen all this with my own eyes and heard it with my own ears, and now I understand. I know as much as you do, and you are no better than I am. As for me, I would speak directly to the Almighty. I want to argue my case with God himself. As for you, you smear me with lies. As physicians, you are worthless quacks. If only you could be silent. That's the wisest thing you could do. Listen to my charge. Pay attention to my arguments. Are you defending God with lies? Do you make your dishonest arguments for his sake? Will you slant your testimony in his favor? Will you argue God's case for him? What will happen if he finds out what you are doing? Can you fool him as easy as you fool people? No, you will be in trouble with him if you secretly slant your testimony in his favor. Doesn't his majesty terrify you? Doesn't your fear of him overwhelm you? Your platitudes are as vulnerable as ashes. Your defense is fragile as clay pot. Be silent now and leave me alone. Let me speak, and I will face the consequences. Why should I put myself in mortal danger and take my life in my own hands? God might kill me, but I have no other hope. I am going to argue my case with him, but this is what will save me. I am not godless. If I were, I could not stand before him. Listen closely to what I'm going to say. Hear me out. I have prepared my case. I will be proven innocent. Who can argue with me over this? And if you prove me wrong, I will remain silent and die. Oh God, grant me these two things. and then I will be able to face you. Remove your heavy hand from me, and do not terrify me with your awesome presence. Now summon me, and I will answer, or let me speak to you, and you reply. Tell me what I have done wrong. Show me your rebellion and my sin. Why do you turn away from me? Why do you treat me as your enemy? Would you terrify a leaf blown by the wind? Would you chase dry straw? You write bitter accusations against me and bring up all the sins of my youth. You put my feet in stocks. You examine all my paths. You trace all my footprints. I waste away like rotting wood, like a moth eaten coat. How frail is humanity! How short life is! How full of trouble! We blossom like a flower, then wither. Like a passing shadow, we quickly disappear. Must you keep an eye on such a frail creature and demand an accounting from me? Who can bring purity of an impure person? No one. You have decided the length of our lives. You know how many months we will live, and we will not be given a minute longer. So leave us alone and let us rest. We are like hired hands, so you can finish our work in peace. Even a tree has more hope. If it is cut down, it'll sprout again and grow new branches. Though its roots have grown old in the earth and its stump decays, and the scent of the water will bud and sprout again like a new seedling. But when people die, their strength is gone, their, their breath, their last. And then where are they? As water evaporates from the lake and a river disappears in drought, people are laid to rest and do not rise again. Until the heavens are no more, they will not wake up nor be roused from their sleep. I wish you would hide me in the grave and forget me there until your anger is past. But mark your calendar to think of me again. Can the dead live again? If so, this would give me hope through all my years of struggle, and I would eagerly await from the release of death. You would call, and I would answer, and you would yearn for me, your handiwork. For then you would guard my steps instead of watching my sins. My sins would be sealed in a pouch, and you would cover my guilt. But instead, as mountains fall and crumble, and rocks fall from a cliff, as water wears the stones and the floods wash away the soil, so you destroy people's hope, so you overpower them and pass from the scene. You disfigure them in death and send them away. They never know if their children grow up in honor or sink in insignificance. They suffer painfully. Their life is full of trouble. That to me is him asking. I mean, it says it here. Job asked how he has sinned. And there's truth in that. There's a lot of truth. And instead of the why, he's now bringing facts. And he's just like, please just explain to me why this is happening. Please just explain to me why all of this is going on. And there's a continuous back and forth with the friends. Going back and forth, him pleading his case. There's also this ninth speech that he says. And he's still talking to him and trying to understand the wisdom and the understanding of everything that he knows, everything that God has taught him, everything that he has been given. And he talks about his former blessings and the things, and he talks about the anguish and the things that he's going through, and saying, like, again, like, I'm innocent. I don't understand. Like, I don't get it. Like, why you're doing this. Like, through he slay me, yet he trusts him. So Job he's truly he's saying, like, I don't understand why you're doing this. I don't like this. I don't see that there's any way out of this or a different outcome. And, like, can you just explain this to me? And for me, there's so, I mean, we all know the book of Job, it's very long. And I believe that I'm going to have to pick this up again next week. I'll be honest with you. May have to push it a little bit, because we really have to understand, as it gets to a point where the Lord finally answers him and is like, hey, and it's God was watching this whole time. And it's really about the faith. And I know it's so hard to understand because we haven't gone through the entire thing yet, but I'm going to stop here at 15 right here, Job. But it's super important because there's mature faith and there's immature faith. And I've talked a lot about the why questions and a lot of the questions that are being asked. And immature faith is, what did I do? Like, what do you mean? Like, why is this happening to me? That's immature faith. With mature faith, it's, what is God forming for me? What is God teaching me? What is God putting me through so that I can use as wisdom in the future? And we'll dive deeper into it. But I truly believe that you need to ask yourself some questions. And if you read ahead this week, totally fine. Totally fine. I would love to hear what your thoughts are as you're going through this anguish with Job, and you're seeing this back and forth with his friends again, and he's, getting this counsel from them, and I'm sure we're going to see a turn. But in your life, where has God been silent when you feel that you needed him? Are you trusting him? Are you trusting the wisdom and the character of God? Or are you demanding an outcome because you need an answer right now, because you believe that it's dire? You believe that no matter what, like, you need an answer right now, or it's over for everything. And I get it. I get it. I truly understand what that means, because I'm a victim to it as well. I've done it. I've done that. I want an answer right now, and I don't want to wait. I don't want to learn what the lesson is. I don't want to know why it's happening. Like, trust me, I've been there. And I think that's why the book of Job is so crucial in the Bible, because this is the biggest lesson of faith and trusting God as our Father, the Almighty, the Alpha, the Omega, everything. Because God is not going to allow just anything happen to you. There has to be permission. This is so important to understand. And what is he trying to form in you in this season that you're going through? And we have multiple seasons all of the time that we go through. Some are short, some are long. But what is it that he's trying to refine in you and teach you and give you wisdom on? Like, are you allowing him to do that for you? Or are you just complaining for the first half and asking all these why questions? I've done it. And sometimes as I go through different things in life, I have to question. I go, I think this is a test of faith here. I think this is a lesson here. I question what is happening now more than, why is this happening again? It's more of like, And I believe that's the wisdom as you go through things in life and seasons in life. As you go through things, you can either learn from them and go, okay. And you take that, or you don't. And you're always questioning the why. So I want to leave you with this today, that I know some of you are carrying questions. Some of you are waiting for answers. Some of you don't understand the season that you're in. But today, choose trust in the Lord. Even when you're silent and God is silent and you're present with him, even when you don't understand, we know that he's working. When nothing seems to feel like it's changing, know that he's forming something in you. Ask him to strengthen your faith beyond whatever the outcome is. Teach you to worship him without the explanation of what the outcome is, and trust his character with all of your circumstances. So I appreciate you being here with me today. as we go through the book of Job and finish Genesis. And if you read on, please let me know. And if you don't, we will pick back up. So it looks like we'll be adding a few things and, how it continues on. And I'm going to do my very best to get through a lot of these things with you. It's so deep. And I think it's so important to cover as much as we possibly can together so that we can really truly understand this amazing book that was written, that is given to us. So I hope you have an amazing week. Be safe out there. And I can't wait to see you guys next week. Bye.